I'm going to make you a video here today of how I do a larger than one page tumbler wrap for sublimation here. On my Mac, I use Pages. On my Windows machine, I use Publisher or Word, depending on my mood, and it basically works the same way. I'm going to create a new document and let that come up. And in this case, because it's taller than what I want, I'm actually going to measure my tumbler real quick here. I'm doing a 35-inch glitter, so I need about 10 3/4 high. And for my own benefit, I'm going to write that down because I'll forget. So it's 10 3/4 high by, and I measure every single tumbler. People say, oh, how big is da da da? Well, you know what? I found that they're not always the same. And I'm doing about 2/16 larger than my design so that I don't cut it too short. So this one's a little less than 10 around, so I'm going to do 10 around or 10 wide. So I am more concerned about my height all being in one piece. That's how I prefer to do them. So I'm going to do this as the portrait view and say create. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import some media. And this time I'm going to do it from my photos. You can probably see over here I do have some sublimation designs. But this one I just found last night that I want to use, so it's in my photos. And it's this B one since it's going to go on a gold tumbler. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my arrange, and then I'm going to take off constrained properties because they're not going to be that much different. So this one isn't going to distort that bad. If it's a face or something, it might look weird. But first I'm going to do my width, which was 10. Then I'm going to go over and do the 10.75 for the height and hit enter. So you can see it's good. And you can see that it's maybe within the page if I slide it up a little bit. So I'm going to slide that up a little bit, okay? So what I have now is the correct size. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this by right-clicking and saying duplicate. And I'm going to pull this onto page 2. Get back down here. But I want to slide this one over so that that side is there, okay? And now you can do this a couple different ways, but I just right-click on here and I say edit mask. That's what you're calling this on. And you have to make sure this picture's selected. That's what they call it on Apple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this over pretty far. And I'm going to stop maybe halfway between these B things here. And then I'm going to say done. So now I have this little part. And on the second one, I'm going to do the same thing and say edit mask. Sure. And then I'm going to go way the other way. Oh, actually, I'm going to do it in a little bit longer and say done. So now what I have is this should fit on my page. See how it fits there? Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and print that out. Now, I already have my settings saved for my printer, and I have an Epson 2803 or 2800. I have a couple different printers. So I'm going to choose that 2800, and it automatically defaults here to my settings 1. And I'm going to put the directions for doing that with this, but essentially what we're doing here is you're going to adjust each different thing in here. In fact, I'll show you. You want this to be, for the paper, you want it to be, am I in the right place? Premium presentation matte. It's been, I did this, holy cow. That's layout. Print settings. Hey, look, there we go. Premium presentation paper matte. And my quality is high. I want to mirror the image on this particular one. Sometimes you might have to uncheck this because you don't need to do that, okay? If you have one that's already mirrored. Now I want to go to color options. And color sync. And you know what? Something might have happened with an update. But in any case, I did the color sync and I changed it to a couple things. Again, I'll put a picture in here for that. But in any case, this has my default settings, so I know it's ready to go. And I'm going to print. Every time Epson has some kind of a stupid update, this happens. Anyhow, it goes to my printer, and I'm going to go head over there now. I have to always tell it, yes, I wanted to go next, and yes, I want it to go with the paper that I have in there. For some reason, that particular setting won't save because it's a Mac setting, I think. If I do it for my Windows, it knows that it's premium matte presentation paper. So that's just printing. I'm going to get back with you when I have that done and show you how I put it together. It might not be quite as pretty as just screen sharing as I am here, but you'll get the idea. So I'll see you.
Okay, so now I'm ready to put this thing together. And I went ahead and trimmed it, and I thought afterwards I probably should have done that with you here. But in any case, you can see you always cut off just a hair of the color. Oops, sorry about my dogs. And the reason that I do that is because I don't want any white to show through. Now, you can also see when I put these side by side, they don't line up. That's good. Because what we're going to do is take, in this case, what I'm going to do is take the, hopefully you can see this, my goodness. Anyhow, I'm not a great videographer, but, woo, you fell over. That's actually better. Okay. So, oh, and by the way, this is what I'm measuring with, just a simple seamstress tape measure. And I'll stick it at the very top of the cup and go down to the bottom and go, okay, well, that's about 10.5, so let's add a couple 16ths onto that. And if you don't know what the 16ths comes out to in a decimal, all you have to do is get your trusty calculator out, and if it's 7/16, divide 7 divided by 16, and you'll get your decimal point, so you can get where you want to be that way. I tend to round them up to the next whole number or whatever. But in any case, so now I have these two pieces, and what I'm going to do is I want the bead to not overlap, like not be weird. So I'm going to actually kind of try to line this up where I can get to have it look like it should. Make sure your flowers match up and your everything just matches up. Do I have this upside down? No. Okay. So now I'm working on the flower part down here. This is the hardest part, and when I'm doing this, I don't know if you can see it or not, I actually have a little bit of this hanging out below my desk here. Let me turn you a little bit so you can see this. So it's hanging out over my desk, and what I'm going to do is, this is matched up pretty darn good. I'm going to do the bottom quick before I have a problem, and I don't like where that's landing. There we go. Okay. This is the part where you feel like you're doing a puzzle. And I take a little piece of tape, about yay big, and what I do is I hold this tight. I just moved it, so I got to put it back. Okay. And I tape underneath here. This is the struggle part. I don't tape it tight till I make sure it looks lined up when I look down on it. And you're going to see that little thing, but you're going to let it go because when you put it on the cup, it's going to make it real tight, okay? So that end's lined up. Now I'm going to make sure this end also is lined up and do the same thing at the top. Okay, got to pull it a little bit to line it up. Okay, it looks good. It's a little wonky as far as how it feels, but when I press down on that, that's lined up. And it's stuck to my desk, of course. Why wouldn't it be? Come on, man. Okay, there we go. And since it was stuck to my desk, it did move a little bit, so I'm going to just, that's why I don't put them real tight. I'm going to line it back up. See, not everybody's perfect, especially me. Okay, so we're all lined up. And then I'm going to flip this over and do one piece. Hopefully you can still see me here. One piece the length of that. So it's like another seam. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be the better part of it. So now I have a full design, and I'm hoping that while I do this, I use my lap a lot for this. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see what my chunky legs are doing here. The first thing I do is I flip it upside down, and I flip the design upside down, and I do make sure it fits. And this is going to be a perfect match because of that little bit of overlap. And the reason I do it upside down is to make sure that the top edge looks great. Some of the bottom edge is going to lower itself. So now I have this on there, and I'm going to pull this real tight. And if there is an overlap, I want to make sure it's all going the same direction. I'm going to tape this tight. They make things you can hold your paper. To me, that would take me more time and effort than doing it my way. So I don't have those. But anyhow, I'm just going to tape this in a couple of places to make sure it's on there tight. Now, I said I'm going to say this and it's going to ruin me. I've never had a problem doing it this way. Never have I had ghosting unless it was like an indented edge like on the soda cans or the bullets. I just don't do those anymore because they make me angry. And since this is such a large one, I'm going to actually do one more piece up here because that's up a little more than my liking. Okay, so now I'm going to get one big piece. And I'm going to tape this. I put it on the one side. Flatten it down, the side that's over the other side. And make sure all that's tucked in correctly. And then I just kind of tightly tape that over. Anything extra fold over because you're going to tape the top and the bottom edges of this anyhow. Okay. One thing I also do is, that sticker's on there pretty good. We'll see how it ends up. So now I'm going to get a big piece. I don't like this blue tape, by the way. I like blue tape. I don't like this blue tape because I have found that this stupid blue tape doesn't stretch. So whatever brand this is will never happen again. I was in a hurry and the price was great. It works, but it makes me very angry. So what I've been doing on the bottom edge where I see how it doesn't stick? It makes me real upset. I need that to stick so I don't get any ghosting. So what I've been doing is sometimes people have trouble with the brown tape leaving marks on there. I never have, and I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to get a piece of my skinny brown tape because that's all I have left of it. And I'm going to do another loop over this because that blue tape on that bottom edge doesn't look tight enough to me. Okay? And this brown tape or yellow or whatever color this is, I feel like it stretches really good. So that's holding that down. It's on there with the blue, but it's being really held down with that. So I know that's along there and I'm not going to have any weird gaps. The top is usually fine with just the blue. Okay. And I am trying to pull it as I go as much as I can, but this blue tape just doesn't stretch. And if you do this and you see a gap, go around again, do whatever you need to do. And then I tuck this into the inside. Okay. So now that I've done all that, I am going to walk over to my press and I'm going to show you, hopefully, here. I have the hog press. And what I normally do is on these larger cups, I open this up the whole way. I have already adjusted this, so I'm not going to open it up the whole way now. What I'll do is, before I turn it on, I'm going to put this tumbler in there, and I'm going to close this. That closed real easy. So what I want to do is, I need a little more pressure on here, especially with this glitter. So I'm going to turn this till I feel that it's tight, but it's going to open nicely. And I'm going to actually turn this on. I have to look at my settings, so come with me for a second because I forget how long I do these glitter ones. Okay, glitter, I do 385 degrees for 90 seconds. So I'm going to adjust this, my temperature. My husband comes home in the middle of this whole thing. I'm going to be mad because he's noisy. What are you doing? Come on. I got to get my hand off there. Just 90 seconds. Okay, so for this tumbler, it's going to be a large one, so it's going to take it a little extra. Normally what I would do on this tumbler is I would do it for a full press if it all fit in there. This one, it does, but I'm worried about the bottom and top edges. So anyhow, I'll do it in halves. So what I would normally do, though, say it was a 20 or even a 30, is I would put it in there and do one press, turn it a third of the way and do one more press at 90 seconds, and then turn it another third and do it half that time, so 45 seconds. I do that with all my tumblers. So if it's 365 for 60 seconds on a regular sublimatable tumbler, same way. 60 seconds, rotate a third, 60 seconds, rotate a third, and then rotate a third and just do 30 seconds for the second part. But we're going to pick up here again whenever this is ready to go. All right, it's beeping at me that it's ready. Let's make that stop. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this thing and make sure that these seams are in there. And I'm going to insert this a little more than halfway in there because it's so large. And like I said, I want to get the bottoms. This is going to be a little different because it's such a large tumbler. So I'm going to let it go. And as weird as this sounds, I struggle with those dumb gloves still being hot, the heat-proof gloves. So I have kitchen tongs that drove me crazy in my drawer. They're supposed to stay shut in the drawer and they'd always pop open. So in any case, I use them for this. So I'm going to let it do its 90 seconds. And just so you know what I have around here besides this hot mess because of other things I'm working on. I have my press, I have my heat-safe gloves, I have my tongs. I have a silicone pot holder back here, and I like this one. I think it's from Pampered Chef, I'm not sure. But it has grooves in it because the grooves allow, the way these grooves are, they're like concentrical circles. They allow that heat to escape out from it a little bit quicker. I have an air fryer. It's a small air fryer that I do my pen barrels in and any kind of pens that I make that are sublimatable. It's real small, but it fits a whole bunch of pens. I have a heat press. I have an easy press over there. A bunch of vinyl and stuff I've been working on. And my friend's cat's name's Kevin, and Kevin has an attitude, but Kevin's getting some cool bowls. I gotta clean them up. There's ink all over the place, but her favorite color is purple. So in any case, this is about ready for a turn. And because this is large and I have to do both ends of it, I'm actually going to do it 4 presses, 2 on each end, just to be sure that I don't have any ghosting and stuff like that. So I'm going to open this and I'm going to do a half a turn on this guy. See how that's nice and easy just to turn it with these tongs? But I always make sure those seams are down inside when I close this thing, okay? See how they're down inside there? So they were on the other side and they are on this side. Even when you do a third turn, you can get that to be right where you need it to be. They should always end up in there. What else do I have going on? I have an entire hog collection up here. I have more in the basement. There's my Cricut. Look at all those hogs. There's one of my printers. I recently redid my office. I built all my furniture. So I have this nice big... Oh, I'm not going to do that because then it'll be weird. Anyway, I have a nice big cabinet with all my stuff inside. This is my little monster, Trixie. Trixie has her own bowls that are hog bowls. They're the only things she'll drink out of. And I did do another big cabinets in my desk. I built myself a whole new desk system here very recently. And I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, so I have a lot of Harry Potter pops. I'm just trying to keep you entertained while we're here working. So, and a lot of people ask about my vinyl setup. I don't keep my HTV out because I don't use it that much anymore. I did during the height of the pandemic making masks, but I just did a thin piece of wood back behind there. You can't see it. And I took 2-inch PVC and I just used Gorilla Glue construction adhesive and glued those suckers on there. And then I screwed it with 2 screws onto the wall because everything's real light. And that way it's holding up everything and it's all good for everything I do. I have a bunch of them all over the place. Okay, so we did 2 presses on this. So what I'm going to do is, now I'm going to turn this about 1/3 of the way. I'm going to slide that sucker back in there a little bit further, okay? And now you can see it's in that far. I'm going to close that and let it go. And like I said, we're going to do 2 more full 90-second presses just because it's glitter and it's not going to hurt it. And this is such a large cup that I want to make sure that there's no ghosting anywhere. So when this is all done, I'm going to go for this moment. But then when this is all done, I'm going to come back and show you the reveal of this after it cools down. And I do let mine cool down until I can actually handle them without gloves. By the way, this is my actual, what started it all, my craft table. And inside here where my other vinyl needs to go back in, my scraps, I have just my miniature easy press and some, that's my case for my big one. I got some Clorox wipes, some Makerflow crafters pens, and then some other stuff in there. Alrighty, it's cool. I mean, it's still a little warm, but it's for the most part cool. So I'm gonna, excuse my hair too. It's a holiday weekend. And to those of you that have lost someone in the military, my hearts go out to you. Anyhow, oops, I forgot the yellow's on top of that. Where's the end of the yellow? There we go. See, the yellow is sticky. It won't get off me. Alright, where's the end of the blue? We don't know. There it is. Now, something I do after this is I have logo stickers that I cut out, and I'll put that on the bottom, and then I do a coat of UV resin on there. I get it kind of smooth, I let it sit a few minutes, and then I cure it, and that seals my logo on the bottom of my tumblers, because I do sell them on occasion, you know. And I have to say, I am not crazy about these yellow. I have a little bit I'm gonna have to just wash off with some water, but other than that, I'll just wash that off with the water and a soft rag. Sort of loving this one. This is the first time I've liked one of these gold tumblers, but it turned out perfect. And the only seam you see is the seam between the ends of the pages, and if you buy anything in a store that's got pages, or not pages, but a seam, you're gonna see that on there also. So in any case, I hope you can see how good this looks with the gold glitter on here. So thank you for watching. You have a great weekend.